Welcome to the Executive Show.
Nothing easy.
An inside look at the Warriors front office.
Can somebody give Bob some credit?
With President of Basketball Operations and GM, Bob Myers, on 95.7 The Game. Brought to you by Stanford Blood Center. Give blood for life.
The Executive Show brought to you by Stanford Blood Center. Give blood for a life. Bob Myers joins us every other Tuesday. When he doesn't join us, it's Zaza Pachulia every other Tuesday. Bob, the GM and President of Basketball Operations for the Golden State Warriors. We already got a question on the text line. We'll ask him from Burke in the Creek here. But first, let's get Bob on here. Good morning. And we had a caller, Bob, earlier today, Fred in Richmond. He was like, you know what? We need to give Bob some credit. All these young studs, man. Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman. I'm loving it. So there's at least one person out there in the world, Bob, who wants to give you credit for the job you've done.
Yeah, I need to get that guy's in. I need to send that guy something. Whoever said that, I appreciate that.
Fred in Richmond.
Courtside seats.
Yeah,
my
Fred,
one fan.
You're one fan, Bob. You're one fan. He needs those courtside seats. Before we get to Dre, Klay, and Steph, it was obviously reported yesterday that you guys are going to Japan for the preseason to take on the Wizards for 2 games. So I ask you, Bob, do you have your passport updated? And are you good using chopsticks for that good sushi over there in Japan?
Yeah, I'm good on both. You know, over there in, we went to, I guess, Japan's obviously not the same as China, but it is the same in the respect of we don't get NBA basketball very much. And they're huge fans. And so when we go over there, and I've been to China a couple times, the attention that you get is hard to explain. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any footage of what happens outside the hotels, outside the buses. It's complete mania, to the degree where they know who I am. I got one.
Wow.
I got one fan here in the Bay Area, and then people, some other people too.
I've heard many rumors that you can walk down the street off of Chestnut there and not be bothered. So I think you're correct in that assessment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so Bob, let's get into the good thing, because last night Draymond checking into that game. First time we've seen Klay, Steph, and Draymond in over 1,000 days. The last time that we saw these guys was 2019 of June. Gas was like $3.68. It's now close to $6, maybe more than $6, depending on where you go. How did you feel seeing that last night?
When you do what I do and what we do in the front office, or anybody does anything for you, I think you can relate, or for many people listening, maybe it's your fantasy football team. You build something to see it whole. That's all I can do. I don't play. I don't coach. That's all our front office does, is we try to build the best team we can. And so to not have much of a chance to see it whole is frustrating, if I'm being honest. Not as frustrating as it is for the players, I'm sure, and the person that's actually injured. That, yes, that's worse. But we don't ever get to we haven't gotten to see the team in a long time, and we still haven't even seen Wiseman back. And whether the team's good or not, yeah, that we get praised or criticized in the end. But you'd like to see it and deal with whatever that is or whatever that looks like. So for someone that is in a position of not doing much else but that, to finally get to see it pretty close to full is fantastic. I mean, and that's selfishly my view of it. Clearly, I'm happy for Draymond. I'm happy for all the players. I'm happy for those 3 that haven't played together in so long. Mm-hmm. Pretty unbelievable memories. Those 3 have never been anywhere else, ever, in their career. And I was talking to them the other day about that. Because Iguodala, has. So Andre was in the locker room, and I said, Andre, tell him what it's like in other places. He started laughing. They don't know. I mean, look, I don't know either, I suppose, but when I was an agent, I heard a lot about other places. So it's pretty rare, and what makes it unique to be a Warriors fan, that is very uncommon in any sport now, to see guys that have played together for close to 10 years. Maybe it is 10 years. And to be good and successful. You just do not see that. I don't know if we'll see it again. So I take pride in watching those guys. I've enjoyed watching them, and we're going to get to keep watching them, but I don't take that for granted. It's just so rare in sports now.
Yeah, no doubt. Bob Myers here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game for the Executive Show. And Dre, Steph, and Klay backs. Klay Thompson with a great night Saturday against the Bucks. Steph, of course, on his birthday, dropping 47. And then Draymond Green doing what he does off the bench. Bob, did you watch any of the postgame show last night when it comes to Draymond Green? Did you watch anything?
I didn't see it.
Well, hold on. We'll get the Q-tips out and listen to this one. Draymond Green on with Fitz and Buki right after the game.
Obviously, the 2 seed will be great, but we're not chasing it. We're going to make sure we do everything we can to stay healthy coming down the stretch. Not going to make any bonehead decisions trying to chase the 2 seed. Whether we're 2 seed or 3 seed, we're going to win a championship, so don't really matter.
You're just calling that right now to finish off the post-game interview?
Yeah, I called it months ago.
Now, we had the panic meter last week, and a lot of people were panicking about the Warriors. You guys have lost 5 in a row. Now, if you won 4 in a row, Day-Day's back. And we're talking championships. So the arrogance meter is what we're calling it here. And it's at an all-time high. When you hear that stuff, Bob, what do you think about it? You say, man, that's just Draymond being Dre? Or you're like, God, geez, now the Suns and the Grizzlies and everybody else in the Western Conference have bulletin board material.
A lot of thoughts.
Like,
a lot of thoughts.
Dre, can you wait for 2 games back before you start proclaiming?
Hey, NBC, cut his mic. Cut his mic, NBC.
No. Look, here's the deal. That's who he is. We're not going to change the guy. That's what makes him who he is. He's, something people said recently, you got to speak something into existence. Maybe he was doing that. A lot of guys on the team have won. Not a lot, but a few. Some haven't.
Right.
And I think before you get to that place to actually say it, maybe some other guys on the team hear that and go, you know what, that is real. Or he believes that. So that's one part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's for his teammates. I don't think Draymond needs confidence. I don't think Steph and Klay, they've done that before. So I don't know that they need to feel someone tell them they're going to do it. The other thing is he's just saying something that all these other teams believe. Mm-hmm. I'm sure, 5 teams in the East, their players think they're winning the championship, and 4 or 5 in the West. And why shouldn't they? I mean, what else are we doing? I like when players talk about winning. I do. Look, you can argue whether a guy should guarantee a championship or not. That's Draymond. That's fine. But I love when you talk about the team. I think there's a lot of talk about individuals. An individual's highlights when they promote games, it's this player versus that player, fine. That's how the league is marketed. But I love when you talk about winning. And Draymond, when he, last week when we were struggling in the panic meter, I don't know, what was it at, guys?
I was at an 8, 9.
Shasky was at a 9.
I know
Bob,
you're an 8.
Yeah, Bob, I was at like a 2.
I was stressed.
I was chilling.
I was
chilling.
I
I even wore shades in the studio. That's how chill I was.
Yeah. So that makes you guys good radio because one of you is relaxed.
Exactly.
It's good that one of you is an 8. It's boring if you're both 2.
Thank you.
So I appreciate the 8.
Thank you.
So Draymond says, we're in the weight room. And he says, when I come back, it's not just it doesn't just snap back. And I looked at him. I said, yes, it does. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, because you win. You're a winner. And he said, he kind of looked at me and I said, we're going to win when you come back. Because you've won your whole life. Why would it change? And I believe that. I believe that. He has won everywhere. He won at Michigan State. He won in high school. He's won in the pros. And, people listening might say, well, what does that mean? Winning is a skill just as much as shooting is a skill. Mm-hmm. It's harder to quantify, but I promise you, you guys played sports. Maybe it's not the most talented player, but if you play pickup basketball, you play these things, and you eventually realize, why does that guy's team always win? Mm-hmm. He's not even the best guy, but his team always wins. In any sport, there's guys like that, and he's one of them. Now, he impacts winning tremendously. You saw some of it last night. You got to look a little closer with him. You study the game, and you see all the tiny little things he does, and it fits well with guys like Steph and Klay, who do the things that people notice more, which are the shots and the scoring. And so it fits well, and we've needed him. Our team doesn't. It's not as the sum of the parts is a lot more than the individuals with our team, maybe more so than many teams, because it all has to work together for us to be great.
Yeah, his little shovel handoff and then immediate screening of 2 guys at the top of the key for Steph Curry. It's like a patented play. It's just
got the split action right off the rip.
Incredible. I love watching it. You've been talking about Klay Thompson and Steph and Draymond, and you guys are also trying to work in this young player right now because you're trying to work back Klay Thompson as well, and he had a great night the other night. But take me behind the scenes in terms of how you guys are working on not just with Klay and Steph and Draymond, but also with Jordan Poole specifically, and how you guys are going to use him in creative ways. You start him a couple of times. He's playing way better off the bench. It feels like he's really ascending, and he's very comfortable right now. What has gone into these conversations behind the scenes with you and Steve Kerr and maybe even some of the players?
Yeah, Jordan, you see the talent, right? You guys see the talent. So now what do? That's what we saw and liked in the draft. You see talent. But then what are you going to do with that talent? Because it's not, most players aren't coming in ready-made, and then we have a system where he's got to fit in with some pretty good players. So throughout last year at the end mostly, and then this year it's about where do we fit him in the best. And then it's been well chronicled, Steve demanding the defense from Jordan. I mean, he's got the offense. I mean, when we evaluate players, you see the free throw shooting. When you see, and obviously, I guess he missed a couple last.
He missed 2. I couldn't believe it.
5 to 7.
Kind of crazy, but I think he's still number one in the league.
Yes.
When you can shoot free throws that well, it does correlate to shooting threes. It does, or shooting in any capacity. It should. It makes sense. So the fact that he can shoot so often the line means he's going to be a good 3-point shooter. He is a good 3-point shooter. So now, do you play him with Steph and Klay, which we're experimenting with? There isn't a huge sample size. If you look at that sample size, the net rating is really good. Mm-hmm. But then who's going to play around them? Are you going to put Looney out there? And is Otto the 4? Is Wiggins the 4? Is Kuminga the 4? Does he go Looney, Draymond? That's the stuff that we need these last stretch of games to figure out. But I think we all could conclude Jordan is really important to what we do. Whether he starts or come off the bench or finishes games or not, you fear him a little bit. If I'm the opposing team, he's on the board, and he's up there pretty high. How you defend Poole. He's one of our best passers. You want as many shot creators as you can have on a team. Draymond creates shots for his teammates, not necessarily for himself. Steph does both, and I think Jordan does both. Klay mostly for himself, which is fine. You need guys like that. Wiggins probably better for himself, but Jordan, probably Steph and Draymond as far as creating for others. So it all kind of has to fit together. And the truth is, Steve, that's a work in progress. Not a bad thing, but that hasn't settled. And hopefully it just continues to improve. But I'm watching it the same way you guys are.
Right.
We have had so many different lineups. We still haven't started Steph, Klay, and Draymond together the entire year. I mean, it's crazy, right? So that's where these last 13 games or whatever it is, 12, we need a little more runway to answer those questions in a way where we have a little bit more understanding going into the playoffs.
Bob Myers here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game, GM and president of basketball operations of the Golden State Warriors. All right, another big talking point with Dumb Nation, Bob, is James Wiseman. And we saw him make his G League debut last Thursday. Went to the game on Sunday at Chase Center. He looked really good. He's got some things to work on, but a monster double-double looks so much bigger. So what's the timeline with James Wiseman? What do you anticipate? He's going to play a G League game today against a Clippers G League affiliate. When do you anticipate him being back with the big league club? And do you think he'll have some sort of role as we go into the playoffs here?
Yeah, look, I think he's going to play tonight in L.A. for the G League team and then come back. I don't think he'll play tomorrow night for an NBA team. That would be a back-to-back, which we're avoiding right now. But from then on, Bonte, it's kind of up in the air. We're going to have a few days off here and practice together. We'll see how that goes. We'll decide whether he needs another G League game or if he's ready to go, and Steve will put him in the rotation. But I think we are getting to some level where maybe it's not Wednesday, maybe it's not Sunday, but putting him in some NBA games and getting him some NBA minutes, because if we don't, it's not fair to him or his teammates to just throw him in a playoff game.
Right.
I don't think that would be a good idea. So we're probably getting closer. I don't know if it's 5 days away or 7 days away or whatever it might be from an NBA game, but it's coming, and hopefully that'll leave us, 10 games to utilize and put him in spots where we might be able to use him. But at this point, the truth is we haven't scripted that out yet. We want to keep watching these games. We want to watch them tonight. He's got practice. Our team, like I said, has a few days to practice. We'll get some good practices in with this stretch from Wednesday to Sunday. We don't play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So
how do you look to you, Bob? How do you look to you in those two games?
He looked good. I mean, I think if I were to evaluate it, the first game, I thought really good, under control. Some of his teammates were taking some of his rebounds, which is fine as long as we get the rebound. I thought the biggest improvement I saw was in the rebounding. I think I saw a big leap there as far as from last year. Getting in position to rebound, securing the rebound. His finishing is elite. I mean, when you get him around the rim, his finishing is elite. Catching it in traffic is something he's got to work on. Made his free throws in the first game, didn't in the second game. I'm not worried about him being a bad free throw shooter. I think he just needs reps. He explored his game a little bit more on Sunday, which is good in the G League, and we're going to have to figure out in the NBA that freedom of offensive kind of what he's allowed to do is probably going to be more limited with our NBA team.
Yeah.
But in the G League, yeah, you want to take some of these shots. Okay, fine, it's the G League. Just like when Moody and Kuminga go down there, they get a lot more freedom. They get to handle in the pick and roll and do things like that. James has allowed some of that. But when he comes and plays with us, I imagine what it's going to be is a lot of high screen and rolls and dive into the rim. And because of how big he is, and you guys know this, somebody has to go with him when he dives. We don't have that dive threat. Last time we had that with JaVale McGee. Mm-hmm. We will need that. I think if you hearken back to the playoffs however many years ago, I think against Cleveland, we didn't play JaVale in the Houston series because of the way Houston played.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they would, we didn't want to put him on Harden, so Looney got big minutes. But in the Cleveland series, we put him out there and started him, and he opened up our offense. So that's why we think we have to get James some games in the regular season to give that optionality to Steve for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. And you're looking at Wiseman, Poole, Moody, Kuminga, 4 guys under 22, as promising as any other 4 under 22 in the entire league. I'm just looking at the body of work of the team as a whole. You start off great. Everything's looking good, but you still didn't have all your pieces. Now those pieces are all starting to come back. We're waiting on Wiseman and Iggy at some point. I feel, though, like now that it's all coming together and you're hitting your stride, is this team deeper than that 2015 team that we loved the bench so much of with Barbosa and Spates and Iggy and Livingston? Like, I feel like you could conceivably go 9-10 deep. I mean, you're not going to in the playoffs, but top to bottom, this is as good of a roster as you've ever built.
Well, I'll say this. One year somebody asked me when we were going into the finals, I think it was year 4 or something like that, 2018, he said, I remember this reporter asked me, he said, are you concerned about your bench, the bench production? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you're not getting a lot out of it. And I said, well, if you look at the last 4 years, our bench scoring of those years, and those were deep teams, and I'm not knocking those teams, our bench scoring, 28th in the league, 27th in the league, 29th in the league, 25th in the league. And why do I say that? Well, when you get to the playoffs, Steph Curry's going to probably play 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Draymond Green's going to play 40 minutes. Klay will be at a high level. I don't know if Wiggins plays that many minutes or whoever does, but that's why those players make a lot of money, not just on our team, on any team. Because when you get to the playoffs, it's like a starting pitcher in baseball. You're going to pitch that guy, if you can, 3 times in a series. That's why he makes $40 million. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you'd like a deep bullpen, and we love the depth. I would say it a little differently. I would say we've never had more optionality than we do now. We have a lot of weapons that Steve can go to that we haven't had in the past.
Right.
A lot of different types of lineups we can play that we haven't had in the past. I don't know if that makes this team better because those teams...
Yeah, they're champions. Yeah, they were champions.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It usually is about your best players. So where it's a little different this year is, what are the combinations? In those years, we knew kind of going in what the combinations were. I can hang up the phone right now, and us 3 could argue about who should close games.
Right.
Who should start.
Bob, have you been listening? Me and Bonte have been arguing about that for about 7 straight days.
We don't want to go there.
But the point of that, it's not clear, right?
Yes, I agree.
Right? I don't know who's saying what, but...
Well, let's make this clear, Bob, since we have you on. Since we're here, Bob, can we make it clear that Steph, Dre, and Klay are going to be closing?
Come on, yeah.
All right.
I can give you that.
All right. Jordan Poole in that conversation as well, because he's a playmaker. I think he's working himself.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys in the conversation, right?
But Steph, Klay, Dre, locks, right?
Yeah, there is.
All right.
I don't, barring injury, yes.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, that is somebody arguing, I don't think Shasky's opposed to that argument, is he?
Well, I was making, to your
Bob.
optionality point, I was saying, like, you could see a circumstance. You got GP2 going up against Ja, or maybe you go with Iggy one night, or like, again, to your point on optionality, that's kind of what I was arguing. I don't think the Final Five is locked in stone. I feel like it's closer by committee. And yeah, of course, Dre and Steph, those guys, and Klay, I would throw in there, are going to be in that mix. But after that, it's throw it up in the air.
Yeah, look, yeah, for sure. But the idea that I think I heard Bonte, you were going to Joe about Klay.
Yeah,
I was.
The Klay thing, you have to remember that. Yes, he'd like to shoot better, and he had a great shooting out the other night. But those type of guys, what Klay did in Oklahoma City and what he's done in the playoffs, that skill of leveling up in the playoffs, of being better or being unafraid. That is so valuable in any sport, because I can tell you that, not having played but been around it a lot,
right?
Many players and people, and I'm not indicting anybody, they tense up, whether it's a hitter that can't hit or a quarterback that throws. These are huge moments, and some players, the best ever, they raise their game, and Klay has done that, and he will. He does. That's who he is. And those guys are really hard to find. They're really hard to find, people that not only are the best version of themselves, but are better. And Klay clearly is that. And then, but to the other guys, besides Steph and Draymond, we got to find out who those guys are. Iguodala has done that in the past.
Yep.
I've seen him step up his game.
When's he coming back?
Well, he's close. He's close. We thought about last night, but he's not quite ready.
Is he hitting golf balls?
I don't know if he's hitting golf balls. He's frustrated, to be honest.
He loves golf. He loves his golf.
He loves golf, but he wants to play. I mean, he likes this team. He wants to play. He takes great care of his body. He's working really hard. I think he's frustrated.
Yeah.
He's dealing with some father time stuff. And I'll tell you what.
Aren't we all?
If it was a close game and he was healthy in the playoffs, don't think Steve wouldn't let him finish the game.
Right. Right.
Don't think.
No doubt.
And by the way, as far as trust, as far as the guy that's been there,
right.
Again, that's another guy.
Yep.
So we just got to get him healthy.
Yeah, Looney too. Real quick, Bob, before we let you go, March Madness coming up. We know you play with UCLA. I'm actually talking to Tyus Atney in about 20 minutes, doing a little podcast for March Madness. Berkeley Creek. I'm going to give Berkeley Creek. He's a big time listener. He loves the Warriors, loves the Bay Area teams. He wants to know what's one of your favorite memory highlights from your basketball career at Monte Vista or UCLA. 30 seconds or less. Favorite memory.
I wasn't very good. I was good 1 year in high school, and we lost at the buzzer. That was awful. Senior year. You wish you could tell kids you're going to forget about stuff like that.
You don't.
You don't.
Do.
No.
Never do.
No.
You never. You're like, hey, don't worry, get over it. No, you'll be 90 years old thinking about that shot.
Who'd you lose to?
Over me. So, Mark Madsen, San Ramon Valley.
Oh, man, you lost to Mark Madsen.
We thought we won. Fans stormed the court. They cleared them off, put more time on. They won. Their fans stormed the court. So that stuff.
Oh, man.
My favorite memory, you got Tyus coming on. I mean, I didn't play in that game, but Tyus, I mean, he changed probably my life in some respects. He made that shot.
Yep. Missouri.
Won the national championship. I got a ring for that. I mean,
unreal.
Those things are, I had one good game at UCLA. I had 20 points in a game. But the winning the championship was, that was it. So thank Tyus when he comes on. Tell him I appreciate him making that layup.
No doubt.
Thank you for ethering me on the Klay thing at the end of games. Bonte has got an ear-to-ear smile. He feels very validated.
I just, it messed up the flood. A lot of people are chasing her, Bob. They're like, light up Shasky on Monday
for
saying what he said about Klay.
I mean,
like
Klay being clutch in Game 6, Bob, guys like me that have strong opinions, you got to rise to the moment.
Bob, 5 o'clock on Saturday before the Bucks game, he goes, Poole and Steph are going to be in that closing lineup. Those are locks. Everybody else is on the table, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? So,
I'll tell you why this is why we like Shasky, though.
Yes.
This is why I need people like Shasky in my life.
Thank you.
He's emotional. He rides with every day is a different. He's so high and low.
Thank you.
I like people like that. They make things interesting.
Thank you.
It does. I do. But it can also drive you crazy, Bob. It can also drive you crazy too.
Two kindred
spirits.
I
know, but you know what? Those people, I'll live with people like that.
Thank you.
People that are passionate.
Thank you.
Even if they're wrong, sometimes
exactly.
They put it out there. They put it out there.
Yeah, you've been talking to my wife. I'm wrong a lot, so Bob, thanks for joining us though on the road. You always give us nothing but nuggies.
Yeah, we kept you a little overtime. We'll see you at Chase Center tomorrow when you guys take out the Celtics. Good stuff, Bob.
All right, guys, take it easy.
All right, buddy. That was the executive show. And it's brought to you by Stanford Blood Center. Give blood for life. Real quick, flex moment of the show. Brought to you by Xfinity. Then we have the